Good evening. Can everyone on Zoom hear okay?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, I can hear.
Thank you.
So it's December 2, 2020, 5:32 p.m. and we're here at the Bartonville Town Hall for a Board of Adjustment special meeting. So in accordance with the office, in accordance with the officer, well, I guess I don't need to read that. Okay, so it's 5:32 and the meeting's called to order. So we're immediately going to go into closed session. Board of Adjustments will convene into a closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Section 551.071 to discuss matters relating to the consultation with the town attorney as follows. Consultation with town attorney regarding legal issues concerning a variance for the Hemp Hill LLC and related matters. So it's 5:33. We'll go into closed session. So
we're going to go into closed session. You guys are welcome to wait in the lobby, or if you'd like to come back a little bit. Yes. Our lobby is just down the hall.
So everybody around you. You just hit that button. Does yours say press here and your little red light up?
Red.
If it's red, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just, I guess, so that Ed can hear any comments that we got to say.
Sure.
I mean, we'll be able to hear him, but if you want to speak.
Okay.
One second.
So I don't know if y'all have this.
Telecommunications Act.
Yeah, the memorandum thing. Their action, if any, on items discussed in closed session at 6:07. And we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can everyone on Zoom hear us?
Yes.
We can.
Thank you.
Resolutions.
So do we have anyone here for public participation? Well, if it pertains to this item, do they speak now or do they speak when we speak at the item? So if you turned in one of these, you'll speak when we get to the second item. This is just for things that are not on the agenda, is that right? Okay. Okay, so then we have the approval of the minutes from the November 4th meeting. So have a motion to approve the meeting? Okay, okay, all in favor? So then we'll move on to public hearings to hear public comment and consider a request for a variance from the minimum setback requirements for an accessory building set forth in Chapter 19 Accessory Building and Use Regulations, Article 19.4 Accessory Buildings, to allow for the construction and continued placement of an accessory structure to be closer to the street than the primary structure, being all of attractive land being described as Saddlebrook Estates, Phase 1, Block C, Lot 20, Town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The property to be considered for the variance is generally described as a 2.069 acre tract of land located on the south side of Triple Crown Court, more commonly known as 1136 Triple Crown Court, Bartonville, Texas. Presentation by staff.
Thank you. Just a reminder to turn on microphones when ready to speak. A request was received to the town for a variance to allow for the construction and continued placement of an accessory structure to be closer to the street than the primary structure. Our code says that when there is an accessory structure along a property line that is adjacent to a public street, the accessory structure shall be located no closer to the street than the primary structure. However, in your agenda packet, you'll see that the primary structure is pretty much to the end of the property line, or at the setback line to the back of the property. So there's not a lot of room. There's really no room for there to be an accessory structure behind or equal to the house. The accessory building will be used primarily to store antique automobiles.
So we can hear from the applicant.
Is the applicant available via Zoom?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Eric Welty. I apologize. I don't know.
Well,
how
we
to
just
do-
need you to, we just need to swear you in. Do you
Oh, okay.
promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, and state your name and address.
Eric Welty, 1136 Triple Crown Court, Bartonville.
Okay. Go ahead with your presentation.
I don't know if you have a copy of the letter that I provided with the application, but it basically says the same thing you just did. There's really nowhere else to put a garage or an accessory building than in front of the house. And even situated as it is, it still won't be any further or closer to the street than the one neighbor who might be impacted. So, I mean, their house will still be in front of this building. So it really won't impact, I can't see that it would impact anybody. And if there's any questions that I could answer.
Well, I'd like to know how big this structure is.
It is about 1,200 square feet.
So length by width, what is that?
It's about 24 by 60. Oh, that's more than. Oh, that is more.
I don't know.
I'm Michael, nice to meet you. They're on some
Well, yeah, it's 20.
chilling. But there is.
Yeah, 20. It's about 24 by 60, isn't it? Didn't I include the plans?
I did not include the construction plans in the agenda packet.
I'm sorry, I don't have them right here with me, but it's basically a 4-car garage and a open 22-foot square sort of carport slash patio area.
But there's no living quarters or anything like
No,
that in it.
oh no, it's just for storing my old cars. One reason that I wanted it as a detached building instead of attaching it to the house and just making it an addition to my house is because they're old cars. I mean, it's not like it's likely to happen, but they are more prone to catch on fire with their old wiring and leaks and whatever. But if it was a separate building, it would be less likely to take down my house. So that's one reason. The other reason that I would like to do it separate is I think I can get away with removing fewer trees that way. And if I have to attach this to the house to make it work legally, it would have to be totally enclosed per regulations. And I think having that third of it as an open structure would minimize the bulk and make it less intrusive to the neighbors and architecturally be more in keeping with the neighborhood.
What will the construction be on it? Brick or?
It's about 70% brick and hardy board on the one side, on the property line side, with a brick wainscot along the bottom. So it would look like it's a high quality structure. It's not like a metal livestock barn or something. It's going to look like a house with shingled roof and timber frame construction. It's going to be pretty nice.
Does that meet the homeowner's requirement?
Yeah, they've already approved it. So I'm just waiting to see if it'll satisfy you guys.
Do you have deed restrictions? Would this go against any deed restrictions on the property, or is that just HOA?
I think it's just HOA. They've already approved it.
Okay.
The HOA's approved it.
Yeah.
How far off the street is this?
I think it's about 100 feet. I think if you look at the plot plan, the 50-foot building line from the street is about halfway towards the front edge of this structure. And like I said, the front end of this structure will still be further back than the house to the east.
It's probably back as far as it can go.
Yeah.
Anyone have any more questions for him? Any questions for him? Jim? No?
Yeah, just for the record, I did a drive-by the other day, and it's very heavily wooded.
It is.
So you're probably not going to see the structure from the street anyway.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, but yeah, especially in the summertime, you'd never see it.
Yeah,
You almost can't see the house.
you almost can't see the house.
I'm not sure this
So-
takes as many trees out as it would in the back. where you want
Is-
before.
Is there not room in between the house and your current garage to add on to your current garage?
Well, that would, that would eliminate any view that we have out of our, I mean, I'd be looking at a brick wall out of this side window here.
Okay.
There's a septic tank there and a slope too that would be difficult to, it would be hard to integrate it because we've discussed every option that we could think of where to put this.
So your septic system is in between the existing outbuilding and your residence?
Yeah.
So then that's where your gray water field is as well. So that wouldn't work.
Well, the sprinkler field is on the far side of the current outbuilding,
Okay.
but the tank itself is in between.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if we have no more questions, we're probably done with the applicant for now.
Okay, thanks for your time.
So then,
Thank you.
we don't have anyone in the audience to speak in favor of or oppose. Okay. 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 So how many letters did you actually have to send out?
For this
Yeah, just-
item,
Sorry, just a couple.
let's see, there was
6 or 8.
wrong one. Yes, less, maybe 10, a little less
Okay.
letters. I send letters to property owners that are within 200 feet.
Hello?
9.
Madam Chairman, please be sure to open the public hearing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we will open the public hearing then at 6:18. Okay. And then there is no rebuttals, so we will then close the public hearing at 6:19. Okay, and
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
Are you talking to us
Hi.
again?
Is someone on Zoom wanting to express comment?
Yes, I would. I guess I was having trouble getting through.
Okay, is this related to item 1, the variance on 1136 Triple Crown Court?
Yes.
Okay. Your name?
This is Tracy Horton,
Can you spell your last name, please?
Horton,
And your address.
1109 Triple Crown Court.
And are you speaking in favor or opposed?
Well, I guess I just have questions. I mean, and concerns. I'm a neighbor across the street. And so, I mean, I guess if I need to give one of those, I would say oppose at this point until I just had some more questions.
Ed, is there any issue with discussions between the applicant and someone
No, I
submitting
think-
comments?
No, I think go ahead and allow the speaker to ask the questions, and they can be answered by either the town or the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Tracy, feel free to share your questions.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I guess one of my concerns is just the nature of the property as it is has always kind of gone against HOA guidelines as far as keeping mowing and keeping things looking nice. And so I'm honestly am concerned. He said that HOA has already approved it. But I guess we have an architectural committee. Have they already approved it too? And have they actually seen a plan of what it's going to look like? I guess I'm just concerned because the property's always been somewhat of an eyesore driving down our street. And now I don't know what it's going to look like with a building. And the trees at this point kind of at least cover some of it. But if you take any of those trees down, I'm concerned of what it's going to look like. So,
Would you like me to respond?
sure.
This is Eric Welty, the applicant. I'm going to take out as few trees as possible, so it's not like there's going to be, bare spots. I'd be happy to show you the plans that the architectural committee has approved. They're going to be well above the minimum requirements that the HOA requires. I mean, you can see many, in my opinion, ugly outbuildings in Saddlebrook. This is going to be built to the standard of what a house should be built to. So, and I'll be happy to show you the plans. It's going to be a very expensive, very nice building. And as far as the yard, I mean, Saddlebrook requirements are pretty lax because it is horse property. That's why, I mean, it's not going to win any awards, I agree, but it does meet the standards. But the building itself is going to be way above the standards that the HOA requires for outbuildings. It's going to look like a house.
Well,
if you can see it at all, it will be behind all those trees.
Well, all I see something covered with blue tarps that I have no idea. It's been there for a really, really long time. And when we start losing the leaves, you can really see it. And yeah, Eric, I'm your neighbor down the street with the Cavaliers that you stop and see. And you know, whenever you walk down our street, everyone keeps their yard nice and clean and mowed and well groomed and yeah, you say that you're gonna have these, you know, big nice standards in building this building, but you haven't upkept what you've got already. And that's your business, it's your property, but these are our property values too. And you know, we take pride in our street and our neighborhood. And so, you know, it is a concern. And I certainly don't want to be telling you what to do on your property. It's your property, but there are certain rules and regulations that we all need to abide by because it is our community and we all should be proud and take care of it.
I understand your concerns, but with all due respect, those are two separate issues. One is this building the structure and the other is the HOA requirements, which I'm not sure the town should be involved in or wants to be involved in. And the blue tarps are covering up the building materials that I'm going to use to build this structure.
Well, those have been there for a long time.
I know. I was going to use them to build a pavilion that the ACC approved. I was going to put it between the house, but that deal fell apart and I'm going to use them instead. High quality materials on this thing. And the sooner I can get it approved. And by the way, the HOA took 5 months to approve this structure. I could have had it done by now. They're going to be used in the construction. And since the HOA approved the building, I have a year to use those materials and I will as soon as I can get going. So that issue is really, in my opinion, a non-issue. I mean, I'd like to get those out of there. Believe me, I'm sick of looking at them too. I want to get going and get this going.
But I know that any time anyone's had any discussions with you through the HOA about mowing and even just cleaning the yard up, it's been met with resistance from you. And, you know, and that's, you know, I'm not trying to throw stones at you. I just want our street and our neighborhood to look nice for all of us, y'all included. And I want to be a good neighbor to you all too. I certainly don't want to have rifts with neighbors because I love where I live. But I mean, if we're being honest, the way that your place has been kept, there's been a lot of contempt. So,
are there any more questions on this building? Are there any more questions on his building, his structure that he wants to move forward with?
Well, I would like to see it before it gets approved. I mean,
well, I don't know that that's really an option here. I mean, that.
Take that up with the HOA.
Yeah, I mean, if
I can
share that letters were sent to both Saddlebrook Estates and their property management company, and no responses were received. So the HOA is aware of this application.
Okay. Well, the property management, of course, none of them live on the same street, so.
Tracy, if you'd like me, I can email you the plans. I'm sure you'd be more than satisfied that it's well above the requirements for an outbuilding.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
I'd be happy to.
So any other questions for him?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else out there in Zoom?
Any other comments from people attending via Zoom?
Okay, so then we're back to the no rebuttal. So then we can close the public hearing at 6:27. Okay, and we can move forward with the motion. Okay, all in favor? No one's opposed? It passes 5-0. Okay, thank you. So do you have any comments for him, what his next move is?
No, Eric, so the motion passed, so I will be in contact. The next steps will be going through the building permit application process.
Great. Hey, thanks for your time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 2, which is to continue a public hearing to hear public comment and consider a request for a variance from the minimum zoning district's rear setback requirements set forth in Chapter 30 Zoning Requirements Exhibit A, Chart 4.2 Area Standards for Residential Lots and Chart 4.4 Area Standards for Non-Residential Lots to allow for the construction and continued placement of a 130-foot monopole tower with 9-foot lightning rod with associated equipment within a 65-foot by 65-foot fenced and evergreen screen compound approximately 73 feet off the rear property line, being less than the required setback of an additional height structure, being all of attractive land, being described as Kincaid Lot 2R Block A, Town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The property to be considered for the variance is generally described as a 10.09 acre tract of land located on the south side of Jeter Road, more commonly known as 2200 East Jeter Road, Bartonville, Texas. The Board of Adjustment moved to postpone this item to December 2nd, 2020 by a vote of 5-0 at its November 4th, 2020 meeting. So we'll open the public hearing.
Kathy, I need to recuse myself, so I will leave the meeting. And go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will.
I'm going on. Okay, babe.
Okay, so we're going to open the public meeting at the public hearing at 6:29, and we can hear from the staff.
Thank you. So this item has been postponed a few times, but we're meeting here today to consider the proposed location, which has been revised from the original submission. In your agenda packets, you'll see that the location has been revised from the south east corner to more of a central location, but still on the southern border of the property, being 2200 East Jeter. The proposed location has a setback to the closest residential area of approximately 73 feet, which is less than the required 260 feet per our zoning district requirements. Our requirements state that the setback has to be equal to twice the height of the structure. And structure is 130 feet. So it is short by 187 feet approximately.
Okay, so now we can hear from the applicant.
He is not on Zoom.
He's not on Zoom, so
No.
Okay.
I reached out just now via email, so I will continue to check my email to see if he will log on, but as of now, he has not logged on.
Okay, so then we hear from the people in the audience first, or do we do the people on Zoom first?
Whichever you prefer.
Well, first of all, is there anyone that wants to speak in favor of it on Zoom?
Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak in favor?
So then we'll go to those that want to speak opposed to it. We can start on Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to
Mr. Longway, would you like to begin? If you'd like to start with your name and your address, please.
Sure. Thank you. It's Kenneth Longway. I'm at 190 Wolf Run Road. And of course, that's Bartonville. I spoke at one of the previous meetings that we had and voiced my concerns. I've reviewed the latest plans. I see how they've moved it west, a westward location. Just from a personal standpoint, it does still impact our views, and it's an eyesore. I think that was discussed in depth before, so I'm not going to belabor it. The one thing that does jump out at me as an issue, and this is an issue also for the school there, the location that they have indicated on the plat that was distributed with the agenda indicates that the monopole and its surrounding structure and fence is actually going to be encroaching on one of the 6 sprinkler heads for their septic aeration system. It's the southwestmost sprinkler head. They have 6. They went through quite an effort to get their sprinkler system passed so they can utilize it for the school with several iterations. And if that impacts that performance of that sprinkler head or forces it to be removed, that's going to reduce their effectiveness by 1/6. In addition to that, their sprinkler system isn't working properly. I think we've actually reached out to the town of Bartonville about that on at least one occasion, maybe more. At best, they have 2 sprinkler heads that work properly and one that kind of half works properly, and the other 3 don't work at all. And given that they are operating as a school in the agreement with the town of Bartonville, and I was present for via Zoom all those meetings with regard to the septic system, frankly, it stinks, no pun intended. We get a south to southwest, we get a west to southwesterly wind, and we get to smell the septic system, and it isn't performing properly. And I've had aeration systems before, aerobic systems, and if they don't operate to their full capacity and their tanks aren't able to discharge properly, it will begin to stink the neighborhood up. That is my primary issue with the new location. If it needs to be still in the line of sight, it really needs to go further west to alleviate impact on their septic system. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone? Well, do you have a question for him?
Just a quick question. You're the property directly east of the church property, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your property line runs the entire length of the church property, basically on the east side, on your west side.
It does.
So
the Santanas have a little bit of that property as well, and
So no matter, you have a clear shot at this, no matter what. You're the next property over, other than the one to the southeast.
Which property numbers?
You're the
Yes,
adjacent property. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What number?
86072 is your property.
I think you're right. Don't quote me on that.
I pulled it off the county website.
Yeah, here it is, 86072. It was in the letter. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I got the right property. So you're right there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for him? Okay. Is there anyone else on Zoom out there? Okay, so then we can hear from Laura Tavis Smith. You want to speak opposed? Okay. So if you just state your name and address.
Laura Smith, 185 Coyote Court. We're in Wolf Hill Estates as well. We do want to thank the members for hearing us. My husband and I have been living in the area since 1999. And we also have an informal HOA for the Wolf Hill Estates. So we are in contact with our neighbors as much as possible. And what we did do is we reached out to our neighbors regarding the petitioner requesting the variance. We did provide an email response. Hopefully you did receive a packet about 14 of the homes on Wolf Hill Estates, that is representing 54% of our neighbors that we were able to contact with. We weren't able to reach everybody, but they're definitely opposing the entire monopole. Something else I'd like to bring up, if I may, is in review of the board adjustment criteria for approval. I'd like to comment on several criteria points. They're in your agenda packet on page 22. For the sake of time, I'm going to paraphrase just a few key points on some of those criteria very quickly. Criteria D, as in David, will not be detrimental to the health, safety, injurious other property within the area. The monopole will be a prime example of visual pollution. Homeowners within Wolf Hill Estates who currently enjoy watching sunsets will now be looking at a 13-story monopole with a strobe light. Home and land values will be affected negatively. We have no assurances that the monopole will not cause health issues today or in the future. And the monopole could be damaging if ever displaced by tornadic activities to both nearby residents' livestock. In criteria E, adversely affect the rights of owners of surrounding properties. The monopole will erode our ability to enjoy a rural country setting as we currently enjoy. And we all believe that that is our right. And lastly, criteria H. The request is not based exclusively upon a desire for the petitioner for increased financial gain. Lantana Community Church will experience financial gain from this proposed monopole. We do not see any other reason or benefit for the church to have this to be constructed. We do not begrudge the church for exploring opportunities for long-term financial gain. But this gain would come at the expense of the Wolf Hill Estate residents, neighboring properties in the town of Bartonville per se. And in closing, the reason that many of the Bartonville residents choose to live in Bartonville is to escape the density and living conditions of larger communities. The monopole be an undesirable landmark that defines Bartonville as something other than a rural country living. And I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Sorry.
She's the first one on your list.
You're right across the street,
Yes.
86077. So you're diagonally
Yes,
off of, okay, you're across from the Santianas.
that is correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else I can answer for you?
No.
Thank you for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
And now we have Carlos Santillana. So if you just state your name and address.
Carlos Santillana. I'm at 258 Wolf Run Road. And it's the property right next to the lingeries that is just south of the actual church property. And it's not reflected in the map, but it's an L-shaped lot. So it actually goes east a little bit of the church, kind of cradles the church property there, and it goes south and east, mostly south. You know, I think Laura covered everything really well. I just wanted you to just take a brief moment and think. I want you to picture your home, your family home, and what it looks like, where it is, and what the setting is. And then imagine that within 73 feet of the property line, which is maybe not even a couple hundred feet from my actual home, is going to be a 130-foot tower with a 9-foot lightning bolt, whatever it is, lightning rod, and it's going to have a light for airplanes to not hit it. And all that. So we've lived there since 2012. We've seen a lot of changes. And we've been appreciative of the changes. You know, we thought, well, you know, there are things you can control and the things you can't. And if you can't control it, and it's for a good cause, you know, I'm glad there's a school, it's for a good cause, and the kids will be hopefully learning good values and good principles. And so we're not like against everything that ever happens. It's just that, and as much as I believe that we need cell phone towers, right? Obviously, we all have cell phones like anyone else. But I asked myself, isn't it more appropriate to have it in a field somewhere, or further away from not butt up against a family home? and whether it affects, you know, the financial values of the house. Which, you know, I've called a lot of people and just said, hey, anecdotal evidence is not a scientific study. Though I did look up a lot of appraisal studies. I did hours now. I did a whole day of research just on that one subject of real estate impact. But just talking to people anecdotally, you know, most people had on the one hand and on the other hand, they'd say, oh, on the one hand, I don't think it affects your health. On the other hand, I wouldn't want to buy a house like that because the public is superstitious and they don't want to live. So everybody says, oh, I'm enlightened and I wouldn't be concerned. But I would sure not want to buy a house that is next to one because of property. You know. And so it's just the kind of thing that if you could do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and visualize that tower, monopole tower going up there. And as much as I support my church and respect all churches and want them to prosper and do well because the role they play is so important in our society, I wish there was another way for them to reach their goals and for the phone company to fulfill its very important role in society of providing cell coverage without putting it up. So that's really my concern. And as much as I want to live and let live, this is the one time I'm willing to just fight as long and as hard and as far as I can go, regardless, you know, of my own limited resources. You know, I will take this as far as I can. So I want to thank you for your time, your kind attention, your empathy, and I'd like to see if there's any questions from anyone.
Real quick, you're 86077, correct?
Yes,
You're
sir.
diagonal.
Yeah.
So on the,
And it looks like
that's
a
a-
square just south of the church. It's actually an L.
yeah. So I did a triangle, your back porch. And you have basically a 20-degree. So you look out your window, that's what you're going to see.
There's
From the
almost
barbecue.
right there. That I didn't want to belabor that point. There is almost no spot on my property where I could not see the tower. When we look out the back porch, back window, that's what we see. You know, that's what we see. You know, I actually like seeing the church. I mean, I think it's nice to see a church back there, and I enjoy that view, but not a tower there. If it fell towards me, well, I know that's an absurd thought, but just psychologically, it would fall mostly on my property, more than half of it. And it would fall within like 40 to 50 feet of my house. I mean, again, that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, I don't think that if I was looking at that house and it had that tower, that I would buy that house. I think there would be a discount that I would negotiate for with very good intentions and sincere concern. It would be a manipulation to say, look, I don't like that thing. How much can you drop your price? That's what's going to happen. Not as young as I used to be. I don't think I would see that kind of investment. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we did receive 14 comments of opposition for the proposed cell tower from the following neighbors, which I'm assuming you probably sent letters to most of those people. Yeah. So, but we do have 14 letters, comments of opposition. So we probably need to enter those into the record.
And we can just state that there was 14 comments received. The comments are quite lengthy. Do we have to read them one by one? Can we just note the name and address and list opposed?
Yes, and be sure to include them in the record of the board's proceedings.
Okay.
So reading them by name and that they're opposed is sufficient.
So we have the Smiths who spoke. And then we have Mark and Melissa Faulkner of 304 Wolf Run Road, Jim and Clara Fuhak of 203 Wolf Run Road, Kenneth, Derek, and Lori Longway of 190 Wolf Run Road, Tina Bennett, 422 Wolf Run Road, Rick and Sally Workman, 537 Wolf Run Road, Gaylord and Betsy King at 354 Wolf Run Road, Peyton Hurst, 180 Coyote Court, Mr. and Mrs. Blanche Flower, 428 Wolf Run Road, Frank Solara, 195 Coyote Court, Evelyn Taryn Marino and David Marino, 215 Coyote Court, Brian and Danielle Grieve, 504 Wolf Run Road, Lee and Dave Habenar, 200 Coyote Court, and then Carlos Santana, who spoke. These were all opposed. Okay, now Jim has some documents that I think he wanted to put into the record, but since we don't have an applicant, do we still need to do that?
Yes, please, and have him do a brief explanation of what they show.
Okay.
So Ed, should I go email the applicant even though he's not in attendance?
Yes, please do. And then while you're doing that, I'd say Jim can go ahead and explain, because it shouldn't take you just a minute or two, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What I did after for the last meeting was drew a line from the base of the tower, the top of the tower, which is a right angle, and did the quick trigonometry on what the people that live right around that tower are going to be looking at. Of course, that just changed. But the three properties that are directly impacted are 86072, 86077, and 37498, which right now is an open field, but is only 73 feet from the property line. And I drew a line from the back porch of 86077. So the first thing I did was I took the current zoning, and the human eye sees 180 degrees left to right, but only 90 degrees up and down. And I wanted to see just how much of the field of view is going to be taken up with this tower from somebody just standing on a back porch. So under the current zoning, a 130-foot tower would be allowed to be 260 feet away, and you'd have a 26.5 degree out of 90. That's almost about 30%. So 30% of your view under the current zoning would be taken up by the tower. So then we went to the property line of 37498, and 2/3 of the view from that property line would be taken up. That's the open field, but if a house goes in there, it's not going to be much different. And then I went to the back patio of 86077, and it's 20 degrees, but it's 20 degrees out of 90, which is more than 1/4 the view. So you're going to be looking, the tower is going to take up everything from the backyard. Anywhere on that property, the tower is going to be the entire view of the back property of 86077, which is Mr. Santillana. And I just did this out of what would happen if this went up next door to me. What would I be looking at? So I want to put this in the record. Just quick calculation. You can do it from any of the houses near there, any of the houses across the street. It's not going to go much below 18 or 20 degrees, which is 1/4 of your view. So even the people across the street, if they look to the west, that's all they're going to see is this tower. And I worry about what it's going to do to property value, what it's going to just do to the anger value of having to look out a window at this thing. That's not a reason. That's not a reason to deny it. But the property values I would worry about for the whole neighborhood, and we have 14 people saying the same thing. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, if you could just simply and firmly state that those matters will be included in the record in these proceedings.
Yes, we will give those to Sylvia so she can include those in the records for this evening. And I guess since the applicant's not here, we can't ask any questions. So we just kind of, and there will be no rebuttal. So I guess at 6:51, we can close the public hearing. Move forward with motion. You speaking to the
Motion to not approve.
okay based on
I recommend that the motion include some reasons, please.
he's looking number.
causing hardship. Similarly, affect home. Most does affect all property.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed to that motion? No, so, the motion is denied 5-0. And we don't need to discuss any future items for future agendas or anything, so we can adjourn the meeting at 6:52 p.m.
All right, it's good seeing everybody. Y'all take care and stay warm.
Thank you, Ed.
We're never gonna see Ed in person again, are we? Okay. Thanks,
See you
Ed.
later.
Mhm. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
Uh-huh.